At the lawyer's office, I discovered my parents left me nothing. My cousin inherited everything. I quietly canceled all transfers. A month later, my mother tested me. Mortgage is due. I replied, not mine. The lawyer slid the will across the mahogany table in his downtown office on Tuesday, March 19, 2024, 3 weeks after my parents died in a car accident on Route 88, 3 weeks after I'd spent every waking hour handling funeral arrangements and death certificates and probate paperwork, while my cousin Derek was too busy with work to help with anything except showing up to the funeral in a suit that probably cost more than the casket. Your cousin Derek inherits the house, the savings account, the vehicles, and all remaining assets. The lawyer, Martin Fisher, 60-something, reading glasses perched on his nose, said it matter-of-factly, like he was reading a grocery list instead of dismantling my life. The estate totals approximately $340,000 in value. I stared at the document, at my parents' signatures at the bottom, at the notary stamp dated September 15th, 2023, 6 months ago. What about me? You're not mentioned. He flipped through the pages like he was looking for my name and couldn't find it, but his tone said he already knew. Not as a beneficiary, not as an alternate, not in any capacity. My parents died 3 weeks ago. Robert and Linda Chen, ages 67 and 64, married 40 years, killed instantly when a semi-truck ran a red light and T-boned their Honda Civic. No warning, no goodbye. One moment they existed, and the next they didn't. And I'd spent every day since then handling everything. Calling relatives, arranging the funeral at Oakwood Memorial, writing the obituary, sorting through their mail, paying their final bills, making sure everything was in order. Because I was their daughter, because that's what you do, and they'd left me nothing. There must be a mistake, I said, my voice sounding far away, like it belonged to someone else. They wouldn't. We were close. I saw them every week. Fisher shook his head, sympathy in his eyes that didn't make me feel any better. Your parents updated this will 6 months ago. It's very clear, very deliberate. I actually advised them to include you, but they were insistent. Derek sat across from me in the leather chair, wearing a smirk that made my hands curl into fists under the table. Guess they knew who really cared about them, he said, his voice casual, like this was a game he'd just won. My jaw clenched. I visited every single week, made them dinner, drove them to doctor's appointments. Where were you? He shrugged, adjusted his expensive watch, a Rolex I noticed, that he definitely couldn't have afforded on his salary. Busy, work, life, but they understood. That's what family does. They forgive, they understand. They knew I loved them, even if I couldn't be there as much. Fisher cleared his throat, uncomfortable with the tension filling his office. Derek, you'll need to sign some documents. The house transfer will take about 30 days. The bank accounts and vehicles will be accessible once probate clears, probably 6 weeks. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. I walked out of Fisher's office, down the elevator, across the parking lot to my car, a 2015 Honda Accord with 140,000 miles that I'd been driving for 9 years because I couldn't afford a new one. Sat behind the wheel for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, my mind blank and screaming at the same time. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. For 5 years, since January 2019, when my dad had lost his job at the manufacturing plant and my mom's teaching pension wasn't enough to cover everything, I'd been paying their mortgage, $2,100 monthly, automatically transferred from my checking account on the first of every month, $126,000 total over 60 months. Their property taxes, $4,800 annually, paid every November, $24,000 total. Their car insurance, both vehicles, $185 monthly, $1,100 total. Mom's medical bills from her diabetes medication and doctor visits, $340 monthly, $20,400 total. The family cell phone plan that included their lines, $230 monthly, $13,800 total. I'd done it quietly, never mentioned it at family dinners, never asked for thanks or acknowledgement, never told Derek or my Aunt Karen or anyone else in the family who would have had opinions about whether I should or shouldn't. Just sent the money every month like clockwork, adjusted my own budget to accommodate it, ate ramen more nights than I wanted to admit, drove a car that needed replacing, lived in a one-bedroom apartment instead of upgrading because they were my parents and they needed help and I was their daughter. Total I'd paid over 5 years, $195,300, and they'd left everything to Derek. I opened my mortgage autopay, canceled it, effective immediately. Opened my property tax escrow account, canceled it, called the insurance company. I need to cancel 2 policies, account number 44789821. May I ask why? The policyholders are deceased and I'm no longer responsible for payment. Understood. The policies will lapse at the end of the current billing cycle. Opened my phone carrier's app, removed my parents' lines from my plan, logged into Mom's medical billing portal where I was listed as an authorized payer, removed myself, updated the contact information to Derek's phone number and email address. Then I blocked Derek's number. 1 month later, April 23rd, my phone rang at 7:47 a.m. Unknown number. I was at work, sitting at my desk at the the accounting firm where I'd been working for 8 years, drinking bad coffee and reviewing a client's tax return. I answered. Hello? This is absolutely ridiculous. My Aunt Karen's voice, shrill and angry. The mortgage is due. The bank is calling Derek. They're saying the payment bounced. Okay, I said, taking a sip of coffee. What do you mean, okay? You need to pay it. Why would I do that? Because it's your parents' house. Her voice went higher, incredulous. Was my parents' house. It's Derek's house now. Check the will. Page 3, paragraph 2. Very clear. You can't just stop paying. You've been paying it for years. I did. I highlighted a number on the tax return, made a note. But the insurance lapsed. The property taxes are overdue. The bank is sending foreclosure notices. Sounds like Derek should handle that. He inherited the house. Houses come with expenses. I'm sure he knew that when he accepted. He doesn't have that kind of money. He can't afford. I laughed, cold, sharp, a sound I didn't recognize as my own. Then maybe he shouldn't have inherited a house he can't afford to maintain. You're being petty, cruel. They were your parents, and they left me nothing. Absolutely nothing. After 5 years of me paying their bills, tell Derek to check the mailbox. The bank sent a foreclosure notice yesterday. 30 days to cure the default, or they start legal proceedings. I hung up. 2 days later, Derek called from a different number. I recognized the area code, his work phone. I answered because I was curious what he'd say. Jess, we need to talk. No, we don't. The house is going into foreclosure. The bank sent a letter saying we have 28 days. I know. I'm still on the estate mailing list. I get copies of everything. I was in my car, driving home from work, speakerphone on. Very official-looking envelope. You have to help. I don't have $25,000 to catch up the payments. Why would I help? Because it's family. His voice cracked slightly. The smugness from the lawyer's office completely gone. Family? Oh, you mean like how I'm mentioned in the will? Like how my parents remembered me when they were deciding who gets their life's work. Silence on the line, just his breathing. Please, Jess, I can't afford this. I didn't know about the mortgage payments, the property taxes, the insurance, all of it. I thought they told me the house was paid off. It's not. They were barely scraping by. I've been covering everything for 5 years, while you showed up twice a year for Thanksgiving and Christmas with expensive wine and talked about your promotion. His voice went quiet. 5 years? 5 years. Every single month. $2,100 for the mortgage, $4,800 every year for taxes, $185 for insurance, $340 for mom's medical bills, $230 for the phone plan. Want me to send you the spreadsheet? I track everything. I turned onto my street. I have 5 years of bank statements showing every transfer. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You just took what you thought was yours. So what am I supposed to do? Sell it. Fast. Before the bank takes it. There's probably some equity left if you move quickly. Nobody's going to buy a house with a foreclosure pending. And it needs work. The roof. The furnace. Then I guess you're screwed, Derek. I pulled into my apartment complex parking lot. You inherited a house with $25,000 in missed payments, $4,800 in back taxes, and probably another $15,000 in deferred maintenance. Congratulations. You're going to let our family home go into foreclosure out of spite? I'm going to let your house, the one you inherited, face the consequences of not being maintained. That's not spite. That's reality. I hung up. A week later, May 2nd, my Aunt Karen showed up at my office. The receptionist called me. Jessica, there's a woman here to see you. She says she's your aunt. She seems upset. Send her back. She stormed into my cubicle, face red, purse clutched in both hands like a weapon. You're destroying your parents' legacy. That house. No. Derek's destroying it. He inherited it. It's his responsibility now. You know what I mean. That house has been in the family for 30 years. Your grandparents bought it. Your parents raised you there. And I paid for it for 5 of those 30 years. Where were you? Where was Derek? Where was the family when bills needed paying? We didn't know you were paying. If we'd known, you didn't ask. Nobody asked. You all just assumed the bills magically paid themselves, while my parents lived in a house worth $340,000 and drove 2 cars and had cell phones and medical care. I kept my voice level, professional, aware that coworkers could hear. Did you think it was free? She pointed at me, her hand shaking. This is cruel. This is punishing Derek for something he didn't do. What's cruel is being erased from your parents' will after keeping them financially afloat for half a decade. What's cruel is spending $195,000 of my own money and getting nothing. Not even a thank you in the will. Not even a sentence saying, "We appreciate Jessica, but we're leaving everything to Derek anyway." Just nothing. They had their reasons. What reasons? I stood up, matched her energy. What did I do wrong besides show up every week? Besides paying their bills? Besides being their daughter? She didn't answer, looked away. Tell me, because I genuinely want to know. What did I do to deserve being written out completely? Derek told them you were doing fine, that you didn't need the money, that you made good money at your job, that he'd take care of the house, maintain it, keep it in the family. Then he should take care of it. He made a mistake. He didn't understand what he was taking on. That's not my problem. That's his problem. He wanted the house. He got the house. Houses cost money. Please, her voice broke. Just 3 more months. Give us time to sell it properly, get a good price. We can pay you back. No. The family will never forgive you for this. I sat back down, turned to my computer. The family already forgot about me. I'm just returning the favor. You can leave now. I have work to do. She left crying, her heels clicking down the hallway, the office going quiet as people pretended not to have been listening. 2 weeks later, May 16th, Derek sent one final text from yet another new number. The bank took the house. Foreclosure sale date is June 15th. We lost everything. Are you happy now? I stared at the message for a full minute. Then typed back, I'm not happy, but I'm not your ATM anymore either, and I'm not responsible for fixing the consequences of Mom and Dad's decisions, or yours. I blocked the number. That night, my Aunt Karen posted on Facebook at 9:47 p.m. I saw it because my cousin Amy, Derek's sister, who I'd always gotten along with, screenshotted it and texted it to me with a single word, wow. A long rant about ungrateful children, broken families, how money ruins everything, how some people value dollars over relationships, how her nephew had lost his inheritance because of spite and cruelty, how families should forgive and help each other. The comments poured in within minutes. What happened? Are you okay? Who are you talking about? Karen replied to every comment, telling the whole story, from her perspective. How I'd abandoned the family after my parents died, how I'd refused to help Derek keep the house, how I'd let it go into foreclosure out of spite, how I'd turned my back on family when they needed me most. 43 comments in an hour. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years weighing in with their opinions, their disappointment, their judgment. I didn't respond, just watched. Let her tell her version, but my accountant did. Howard Chen, no relation, despite the shared last name, had been my parents' accountant for 15 years and mine for 8. He handled their taxes, knew their finances, had watched me quietly take over their bills 5 years ago, and had told me I was being too generous, but had helped me structure everything for tax purposes anyway. He commented at 11:23 p.m. with a single line and an attachment. Here's the full financial history for context. The attachment was a PDF, 5 years of bank transfers, every mortgage payment with date and amount, every property tax bill with my name on the check, every insurance premium, every medical bill, every phone payment, each one documented, dated, verified. The final page was a summary. Total amount paid by Jessica Chen on behalf of Robert and Linda Chen, 2019-2024, $195,300. The comments shifted immediately. She paid for 5 years? $195,000? And they left her nothing? That's insane. That's beyond insane. Derek inherited a house she paid for, and now he's mad she stopped paying? I'd be furious. She's not being cruel, she's being smart. My aunt tried to defend, tried to explain, tried to say there was more to the story. But Howard commented again, there's nothing else to the story. These are bank records. Numbers don't lie. Karen deleted the post 20 minutes later. Then she deleted her Facebook account entirely. Derek called one last time. June 1st, 3:34 p.m. from his personal cell. I answered, I'm sorry. His voice was flat, defeated. I didn't know about the payments. Mom and Dad never told me. They just said the house was taken care of. I thought they'd paid it off years ago. They didn't. I did. If I'd known, you would have what? Split the inheritance? Given me half? Asked questions before accepting everything? Silence. That's the problem, Derek. You didn't know because you never asked. You just took what you thought you deserved. What do you want me to say? Nothing. There's nothing left to say. The house is gone. The money's gone. Whatever you got from the bank accounts is yours. I hope it was worth it. The family's falling apart over this. Mom's side isn't talking to Dad's side. Amy won't speak to me. Thanksgiving is going to be... The family fell apart when my parents decided I wasn't worth mentioning in their will. Everything after that is just consequences. He was quiet for a long moment. I really am sorry. For what it's worth. It's not worth much. But thanks anyway. He hung up. I sat in my apartment, the one bedroom I'd been living in for 6 years, the one I could have upgraded if I hadn't been paying someone else's mortgage, the one that was mine, and only mine, and paid for with money I'd earned. My phone buzzed. Another aunt, another cousin, another family member who'd ignored me for 3 weeks while I planned my parents' funeral, and now had opinions about my choices. Can we talk? I think there's been a misunderstanding. I deleted the message without responding, blocked the number, opened my banking app. Looked at my checking account balance, higher than it had been in 5 years because $200 wasn't leaving on the 1st of every month. Looked at my savings account that was actually growing now. My phone buzzed again. A text from Howard. You did the right thing. For what it's worth, from an old accountant who's seen everything. I typed back, thanks, I hope so. But I wasn't sure. Wasn't sure if the right thing was supposed to feel this empty, this final, this much like burning bridges and salting earth. Wasn't sure if family was supposed to cost $195,000 and leave you with nothing but resentment and a clear conscience. My phone stayed silent after that. No more texts, no more calls. The family had gotten the message. I wasn't paying anymore, wasn't helping anymore. Wasn't pretending anymore that the last 5 years of sacrifice meant anything to anyone but me. The house sold at foreclosure auction for $280,000. Derek got nothing. The back payments and fees ate everything. My parents' legacy, the house they'd raised me in, the place I'd spent $195,000 keeping alive, went to a stranger who planned to flip it. And I went to work the next morning, same as always, because bills still needed paying and life still moved forward whether you were ready or not.